Captain America also gives us our first indication that no, this was not T'Challa, but instead, this was King T'Chaka, aka T'Challa's father. So I think a lot of people understand what just happened here. And in case you didn't, let me explain why there's been some outrage. There have been some uproar online about where did T'Chaka just come from? Now, of course, we know T'Chaka was the previous Black Panther before T'Challa. We know that it is in the comics. That's not the issue. So let me try and break it down. Give me a moment here because I want to break this down for people so that they can kind of understand we have a problem here. Okay, Marvel, you have a problem here. And of course, y'all know I got receipts. According to Brad Winderbaum, who is Brad Winderbaum? He's basically the second in command. He is the guy that basically he's the number 2 at Marvel Studios. He's in charge of everything TV related, etc. on Disney Plus. According to him, in an interview, he said X-Men 97 fits directly into the continuity of the 90s animated shows, and as you know, there were some awesome crossovers, most notably Spider-Man, the animated series. Why is that important? Why? Because Black Panther has shown up in other iterations of the 90s cartoons. What are these 90s cartoons that you're talking about, E-Man? Okay, so the most common ones that we're talking about here are the X-Men OG series. Yes, Black Panther showed up. You also have the Iron Man series. This is why we see the OG yellow and red Iron Man. You also have the Spider-Man animated series that we just talked about. And most importantly, we have the Fantastic Four animated series. Why is that important? Well, in the Fantastic Four series, which took place during the 90s, which, according to Brad Winderbaum, is in the same continuity as X-Men 97, Black Panther showed up.
And T'Challa, hereditary chieftain of the Wakandas, does not give his word lightly.
Yes, but this
No, it's all right, dear.
But it wasn't just any old Black Panther. Now, I want to give you a little comic history, so stay with me. Larry Houston was basically the director of the OG series, and this is what he had to say when Black Panther showed up in the OG X-Men series. He said in Sanctuary Part 1, Larry Houston listed Black Panther in the script as African Mutant Refugee number 3, and that was in order to keep the suits at Marvel unaware that the character was going to appear in a cameo. Larry Houston said, we had 2 X-Men episodes in Africa, one with Storm's mutant godchild and the other with Magneto gathering up mutants to take them to his mutant sanctuary, Asteroid M. I was able to include the Black Panther into the show whenever they were in Africa, which some sharp-eyed fans were able to spot. He added, I couldn't give him a speaking part, but it was a great opportunity. Fun fact, Larry Houston also tried back then to make a Black Panther series, but it didn't happen. Now, here's the thing, because y'all know E-Man is fair. I'm fair. It's possible that maybe we only saw T'Chaka this whole time. We never heard T'Challa or Black Panther, I should say. We never heard him speak in when he showed up in the X-Men series. We never heard that. So maybe it was always T'Chaka. Maybe. Now, of course, this also adds a couple other issues because the big question is, well, where's T'Challa? Is T'Challa just the grown-up prince and he hasn't taken the crown yet? Like, has he not taken the mantle yet? I doubt he would be a little kid because him and Storm, according to the comics, like they're close to the same age. So you can't have a fully grown-up Storm and a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old T'Challa. That won't add up. But was that always T'Chaka? Could Marvel sit here and say, yeah, it was T'Chaka? Yeah. No, they can't. Because even back, when was this? In 2018, when they talked to Larry Houston about it, it says here, the article says, Houston was proud of bringing T'Challa to life, even for a brief cameo, but he wanted more. So, just to be clear, there was always the intention of T'Challa, not just some mantle-carrying Black Panther. T'Challa was supposed to be there. Now, some people might be like, come on, E-Man, that might not be enough. We still need some more. Cool, let's hear it from the guy himself. Larry Houston goes ahead and says, here's some montage of images of the 94 classic Fantastic Four episode, Prey of the Black Panther, that he directed. This is his first fully animated debut, his first cameo in the X-Men, and as a prop way back in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, they were all drawn by fanboy me. Now, here's the thing. You see the images that he posts. This is the image from X-Men, the OG series. This is the T'Challa that Larry Houston, the director of the series, included. This is who we saw. This is also very reminiscent of who we just saw here as well. Now, he wasn't unmasked, but this is the same uniform with the cape. You also see same thing here. And this is where they messed up. Because when you see here in this episode, because remember, according to Brad Winderbaum, all the crossovers all match. They are all together. The reason why they mess up is because if you look right over there, right there, where T'Challa's raising his fist, that is T'Challa. Okay? Voiced by Keith David. Okay? So there is no question that T'Challa was supposed to be the Black Panther, as he's always been in the vast majority of every single comic in the Black Panther series. So anybody out here talking about it's just a mantle, who cares? And 50 something years says otherwise. In other references here, you see all the times Larry tried to cross over the same Fantastic Four that we will see later in this episode, the same Fantastic Four meeting up, fighting with T'Challa. Now, you want to know why this was even more problematic? Because in that episode of Fantastic Four that is also canon for X-Men 97, T'Chaka had died.
It all began 10 years ago. He called himself Ulysses Claw, the master of sound, and demanded our sacred mound of the precious eternal rock from my father, T'Chaka, live.
Father! They have slain T'Chaka, but his death shall not go unpunished!
From this moment, Father, I live only to avenge this evil deed.
T'Challa was like, yep, I got the mantle now. My dad died. Now, some people might say like, yo, wait a minute now. We don't know the time frames. We don't know when this happened. Now, if we are supposed to go off of the years these things came out, remember, the OG series of X-Men started in 92. They waited, and now we're in 97. When did Fantastic Four happen? It happened between 94 and 96. So between these 2 years, if we're supposed to go off of this, between 94 and 96, T'Chaka dies. Why is T'Chaka here? This feels like an unnecessary plot hole created by Marvel. Let's add a little bit more chaos to this. Now, again, people might say, yo, E-Man, maybe this was a mistake. Maybe this was just creative differences. Maybe. What was Bo DeMayo thinking? Bo DeMayo being the head showrunner. He was, of course, asked this on the Twitters. And here's what he had mentioned. Now, in the conversation, somebody said like, yo, Bo, why was Black Panther T'Chaka there instead of T'Challa? And he had just responded and said T'Chaka. Now, maybe he misunderstood, whatever, because people obviously would confuse T'Challa with T'Chaka here. But as people started talking about it, people were like, yo, it's kind of weird to show T'Challa in and out of MCU continuity animated series when every logical choice would be that it would be him and not his dad. MCU Black Panther stuff should not affect other projects. What did Bo DeMayo say? I can't speak to this choice. What does that say? That implies Bo DeMayo, the showrunner, had nothing to do with it. That's what I'm interpreting that as, which to me sounds as though somebody else in Marvel, maybe Disney, don't know, was like, nah, switch that up. And I want you to think about this. Bo DeMayo is the showrunner. Bo DeMayo is the one who's basically the guy in charge when it comes to how things happened. He writes the script as the head writer, okay? And then he gives it to all of the directors and the animators, and he's still the supervisor. He's still the person that oversees everything. He'd be like, ooh, that's how y'all did that Wolverine scene? That's dope. I like it. Let's go with it. He's the one that keeps it going. So for the showrunner not being able to speak to this choice, somebody else needs to answer this question. Does this make sense? I hope I explain this in a way where people kind of understand why this seems unnecessarily problematic. And let me just kind of pause on some people, because some people are like, man, why are they trying to take T'Challa out of everything? Don't forget, in What If, we did get T'Challa. We got T'Challa, what, say 3 times, Star-Lord T'Challa, then they killed him again, in another version when he went against Killmonger. So we did get those final performances with Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa. But this looks very suspect. This sounds very problematic. Why would you go out of your way to break your own continuity, even when this is something outside of the MCU? I mean, yeah, it's technically an alternate universe, but it's in its own sandbox. In other words, there's no harm in allowing what already was originally intended, which was to have T'Challa be in it, to just continue. But now that you've gone out of your way to take him out, it looks more problematic and suspicious. So I don't think I will have that opportunity to ask anyone in charge, but I would implore anyone who has that platform, who has that ability, ask Brad Winderbaum what's going on. Ask the directors what's going on. Who made this decision and why did they feel it was necessary? And what kind of creative pretzel are y'all going to twist yourselves in to try and explain away why this doesn't make sense with the Fantastic Four that we know is connected to Spider-Man, that we know is connected to X-Men 97? Thank you so much for watching. This was just a segment of one of my live chats, and if you're interested in joining in on the next one, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.